With only 2 minutes remaining until the conclusion of the Tournament of Power, all that remains from Universe 7 are the broken and exhausted bodies of Goku and Frieza, left to battle against the mighty Jiren as Goku leaves it all on the table in his attempts of defeating Jiren while recapturing the power of Ultra Instinct as the two battle for supremacy, in which later causes a great change in Goku that would ultimately become the deciding factor of this entire tournament. What is going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome to my Dragon Ball Super episode 129 review entitled Limits Super Surpassed Ultra Instinct Master, leading into the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Super episode 130, which will be premiering on March 17th as opposed to next week. So just to give you guys a quick heads up, there is no Dragon Ball Super episode going into next week. Instead, the final two episodes are going to be premiering on March 17th and 18th, and the final episode, episode 131, will be premiering on March 24th/25th by the end of the month. And just like many of you guys, I cannot wait to see the finale of the Tournament of Power, as there is literally only seconds left going into Dragon Ball Super episode 130, which will star Master Ultra Instinct Goku having to collide against Jiren in their final fight ever in Dragon Ball Super. And to say the least, what a fight this was. And again, a quick little plug, if you guys like the Dragon Ball content that I provide on this channel, then make sure you guys punch that subscribe button with notifications enabled to be the first to receive all the latest in Dragon Ball content and be a part of the Dragon Ball squad. And also don't forget to follow me on these social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, to stay connected with me at all times. Hashtag Dragon Ball Squad as we roll into Dragon Ball Super episode 129 with a groundbreaking showcase involving both Goku and Jiren as we kick off Dragon Ball Super episode 129 exactly where we left off, with the tension brewing between Jiren and Goku, as you can feel the tension in the atmosphere as Goku overlooks Jiren, the music having to settle in the background, and Jiren doesn't look to be backing down in the least, because Jiren knows exactly what he's going to be going up against, as he fought Goku previously during Dragon Ball Super episode 110, and pretty much feeling Goku out in his fight with Kefla and observing more and more as to what Goku was doing during that time. So Goku pretty much going into this fight already knows more about Ultra Instinct than how he did previously, but alongside Goku knowing, Jiren also knows as well. And during this epic stare down, Whis actually notes that this perhaps could be the final time that Goku has the opportunity in tapping into this power in defeating Jiren, and within the blink of an eye, literally within the blink of an eye, as quickly as Goku shuts his eyes, he moves towards Jiren's direction, and with that, we see how quickly they engage. And the second these two battle, the entire arena is beginning to implode. There are explosions everywhere, rocks are breaking, and even the gods are starting to feel the depth and magnitude of this fight, because every single kick, every single punch that Goku and Jiren deliver, everything is literally shattering around them. So as this fight began, every little thing that Goku did, Jiren countered. Every little thing that Jiren did, Goku countered. And Whis actually pointed out that yes, Goku had developed ever since his fight with Kefla. However, there are still certain things that Goku needs to learn that pretty much render him as being imperfect in this fight, which also we get to see how quickly Goku was maneuvering around Jiren as he's trying to use his Kamehameha. And during the midst of things, we get to see how Goku, before firing off the Kamehameha, Jiren is using his punches and trying to catch Goku. So this fight early on, we see how evenly these two were in terms of feats and in terms of power, until Goku finally was able to outmaneuver Jiren in firing off his Kamehameha. Now, what was funny to me is how the Omni Kings were pretty much recreating the scene of Goku using the Kamehameha, and as soon as Goku fires off the Kamehameha, we see how it begins to completely destroy the entire ring around them. And what was most interesting about this was the second Goku fired off his Kamehameha, he looks down and Jiren isn't even deflecting the Kamehameha, but instead he had his hand raised. And as he does this, just as we saw in the preview, Jiren unleashes this massive energy explosion to where it not only pushes Goku far enough, but also completely exterminates the Kamehameha that he just fired, and causes lots of concern between the gods. The Omni Kings are very excited. I mean, they're just looking around, they're having fun. Again, more or less, it's not about them. However, during this, we see how Goku is still intact. However, it was the result of Goku holding onto his Kamehameha, which created somewhat of a barrier around him that caused him to be protected from this explosion, but he ends up pretty much canceling out the Kamehameha energy in his hand, and he begins to descend on down. Now, why is this so important? Well, in the middle of the episode, episode, everyone, including Belmont, even made the suggestion that Goku was bled out of power. He's pretty much finished, and the Omni Kings are very impressed with Goku, but Jiren managed to completely block off Goku's attack in the idea that he was able to blow Goku backwards and getting the upper hand on him. So as this turns out, we see how Goku begins to fall down and descend on down onto the ground, and the first person that pretty much utters any kind of words of cockiness and arrogance are Belmont. And I loved how Vegeta began to chew out Belmont and calling him out and saying that Goku will master Ultra Instinct at some given point and defeat Jiren, with Belmont's response pretty much being, yeah, okay. And then we get like this short little flashback of everybody fighting some of the Universal Warriors like Kefla, Hit, all the other fighters, and as Goku is descending on down, Belmont looks at Goku and he notices sparks, and he notices sparks coming from Goku as he's falling on down back onto the arena, and Jiren is slowly just standing there. He's observing Goku, but he's not going to allow Goku to get the better of him, as Jiren, before even wasting any time, goes in for the kill. And at that given point, we see how once Vegeta and everyone else notices that Jiren is on the move, we see how Vegeta's words seem to unsettle Belmont, and Belmont then tells Jiren to finish off Goku right away, and Vegeta tells Goku to remember what he's fighting for, and within an instant Goku turns around and he powers up. Now this power up caused Jiren to pretty much stop in his tracks, and Vegeta, he's looking up, he looks down, he closes his eyes, and Jiren seems to be a tad bit confused and dazed. As Goku powers up, he looks back down. So Goku, again, even with this power being uncontrollable to his early stage in the middle of this episode, he takes one big breath, he opens his eyes, he looks down, and the fight resumes. So as Jiren is falling on back down onto the arena, obviously they're not really flying, because if they were, they would be up in the sky rather than descending on down onto the ground. So the art and the animation throughout all of this, I think, was spectacular. But just as I said, as Jiren was descending on down, Goku, as he's descending down with him, begins to attack. And Jiren actually, for the most part, I will say, had the upper hand on Goku, because while Goku was in this Ultra Instinct state, we saw how even though they were trading, blows and they were evenly matched, in some way, shape, or form, Jiren still had the upper hand. And as a result of all of their punching and kicks, literally everything is breaking all around them. And I really do appreciate the level of effectiveness that Goku and Vegeta had, because it really demonstrates as to how raw these two truly are in terms of, going neck and neck and trying to get the better of the other person. And I loved how throughout this entire fight, Whis is observing this battle, and he seems to be pondering and questioning himself as to what's happening. And Goku and Jiren had this amazing battle in the sky as they were shattering the rocks around them. And again, even as pointed out by some of the other fighters, that Goku seems to be growing in this fight against Jiren. So even though it seems to be evenly fought, Whis actually points something out in pretty much elaborating on Goku's energy and his power, and expressing the idea that Goku still hasn't yet turned the tides on Jiren. However, as they're fighting, as the speed begins to increase, as their power begins to increase, everything around them begins to change. And I did notice a bit of reuse for animation from episode 110, from the opening intro and switching that around. And this fight, you have to give credit to both Goku and Jiren. Despite what one did, the other one countered, and Goku actually put up several barriers as Jiren came descending on down, and using his glare and using his eyes in creating pressure and force in trying to keep Goku down. And hands down, I will go on record and say this was, if anything, one of the most intense and glorious and beautiful looking fights, I think, within the Tournament of Power, because from start to finish, this thing never stopped. And it was the effectiveness of what they did throughout the episode that made this feel that much more special. And as Jiren is pushing Goku down with his glare, we see how Belmont begins to tell Jiren to finish him off now, and Jiren just fires off a bunch of blasts. And despite all of these blasts raining down on Goku, he seems to have like this little shield, he seems to have some sort of like a barrier that is protecting him. And as this is going on, we see how even Beerus tells Krillin and everybody else to just be patient and be calm, because Goku's still in this fight. But what was awesome about this was it looked like as Jiren was flexing on Goku, it looked like rain. It looked like a rain of hailfire coming down at Goku, and we see Goku on this one little tiny rock with him being bent over and his back being exposed to Jiren, and we see how Goku's hands are shaking because Goku is trying to keep back the amount of energy blasts that are raining down upon him, and you can only imagine the amount of pressure that Goku is trying to keep back using his body. And Belmont thinks that Beerus has, you know, pretty much put too much of his fate in Goku, and the idea that this is Goku's final moment and Goku can't help but get out of this one. But Toppo sees that Goku is still moving his hands, that he is still in this fight, and he seems to be okay. And as Toppo is observing Goku, he notices that Goku is doing just fine. Even though Goku's arms are shaking, even though for a split second he notices that Goku is still intact in this fight, Goku begins to slowly move his hands, he begins to stand back up, and at that given point we see how despite everything Jiren was throwing at Goku, when Goku looked on up, he began to turn the tides by literally sending everything that Jiren was throwing at Goku back at him with his own blast. And the minute Goku used this blast to hit Jiren, we see the look on Jiren's face, and it looked like it hurt. But as soon as Goku powered up, as soon as Goku pretty much let out this roar, all of a sudden it looked like an entire galaxy below him emerged. It was one of the most phenomenal looking things. I think this was the only time that we ever got to see something like this, because as Jiren lands on top of the pillar that's descending in terms of time, he's holding on to his stomach and he looks down and he sees Goku. And as he's looking at Goku, all of a sudden we see these streams of waves begin to enter Goku's body. And it's because of this Vegeta looks on over, he's smiling, everyone is pretty much kind of wondering what the heck is going on. And then as Jiren is looking down at Goku, for the first time I think ever, Jiren smiles, and Jiren knows that Goku this is it for Goku. He's gonna hit his max. And what does Jiren do? He also hits his max. So what Jiren does is he powers up to the point where we see such a massive red aura, you know, consume the entire ring. It was bigger than the actual stage. So as Goku is pretty much sucking this power in and trying to transform, Jiren pretty much releases this one massive supernova-like explosion. He condenses it in his hand, and then just as he's looking down at Goku, Belmont is saying, "Finish him now." Belmont screaming, everybody's screaming, and Jiren at that point releases, if anything, his most powerful attack. And as this attack is descending down on Goku with fire, it looked like a hellstorm. As it descended on down, Goku looked up, his hair pretty much cleared white, and then the blast was gone. What happened to the blast? Everyone was shocked. Nobody could believe as to what was happening. And then Jiren, as he looks on down, he notices behind him that Goku's standing there. He couldn't even believe as to what he was seeing. And right behind Goku, he sees Goku holding Jiren's energy in his hand. And then he crushes it. It was the most fantastic, the most brilliant thing ever, because as Jiren went to go swing at Goku, he pretty much jumped on up and he delivered a few attacks that Jiren couldn't even see. So now they're fighting on top of the pillar, and Goku, this reminded me so much of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, because what Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta did against Omega was the fact that Gogeta let out so many attacks that Omega couldn't see them. That was the exact same thing that Goku did to Jiren that nobody else was able to see. He hit him so hard and so fast that Jiren couldn't even recognize as to what was going on. So as Goku is fighting Jiren at this level, all the gods stand up. All the gods are pretty much shocked. They're just at awe as to what's happening, because they're recognizing and realizing Goku's power. And Goku at this point, he breaks through his shell, revealing Mastered Ultra Instinct. And Goku was hitting Jiren at such a pace to where nobody, and I mean nobody, was ever able to see what the heck it was Goku did. And Jiren, as he looked up, he was scared. I think Jiren was scared seeing what Goku was doing, because by the end of this episode, we see how Beerus smiles with such a grin, and the episode cuts from there. But in the end, I would like to get your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your overall thoughts on seeing Ultra Instinct Goku and Jiren fight? What are your overall thoughts on Jiren having to kind of be tired out during this battle and unleashing a full powered attack that pushed Goku back and then later causing him to tap into what essentially is his true power, Goku's true power at his core, in manifesting that on the surface. What are your thoughts on the conclusion of this fight as to where you guys believe this fight may go? It's going to be very subjective in the comments because many people are going to feel that Ultra Instinct, having it be master, is a bit too early. Some people may say it makes sense considering the fact that this series is ending. And just what are your overall thoughts on the inevitable battle between Goku and Jiren and having Goku have the upper hand entirely, and just essentially your thoughts on the ending of Dragon Ball Super? And again, there is no episode going into next week, but instead we're gonna have to wait until the 17th for Dragon Ball Super to return. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. Once again, if you guys are new to the channel, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button, guys. Turn on all notifications. Also follow me on Twitter and Snapchat. I will leave links to those down below. I will also be covering the breakdown of the episode and our predictions in a later video, so make sure you guys tune back in for that. Also, a quick little announcement: we are going to be covering other anime on the channel in the next couple of weeks following Dragon Ball Super, which includes My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, and various other things. So thank you all so very much for your tremendous support. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Cue my outro, bitch.